I brought my boys to work the day the rule broke, not because I wanted to, because a busted pipe at daycare left me with 2 toddlers on my hips and a shift I couldn't afford to lose. I came in through the staff door at Palmetto Ridge, white columns, live oaks, marble that remembers every footstep, and the second Cole Harrington saw the car seats by the laundry wing. He said it flat. "No children in this house, Ms. Brooks. You signed the rules, you understood them." I opened my mouth closed. "It tried again, sir. I'll keep them by the industrial washers quiet. As a prayer, you won't hear a thing." And he just looked at me like ideas were something I should have left outside, you thought, he said. "You thought wrong," Noah whimpered. Judah tucked his face into my shoulder, and when Cole's hand lifted a half-inch out of habit, not a hit, not even close, just a reflex from a man who used control like armor, my knees hit the marble before I knew I was moving. "Please don't scare them. Dock my pay, fire me. If you have to, just don't make them cry." The room went still like the tide had sucked all the sound away. He stared a beat longer than a man like him ever does, and said it cool as steel. "Your week's wages are gone, get them out by 5. Generous. Then he turned and walked shoes, talking like a gavel. And if life were tidy, that would have been the end, but houses hold echoes, and mine found the one door nobody opened. I was folding sheets when my boys did what boys do, slipped past my knees and toddled, giggling toward the east corridor. I followed the sound into the old nursery, the one they said he'd sealed after his son Evan passed. Sunlight spread in dusty squares. A wooden horse waited in the corner, like a memory that hadn't learned how to leave. Judah looked up first and said it clumsy, Dada, and I swear I watched the richest man in Beaufort County stumble a step back, like the word had pushed him. Then Noah pointed at that horse and announced Horsey, with the full confidence of a child who believes the whole world is a toy chest, and a laugh tried to crawl out of a throat that hadn't made that shape in 10 years. Cole knelt slow, like the ground might fail him. He let Judah climb onto his back, let Noah drape across his shoulders, and he crawled down his own hallway, while my sons squealed faster, Horsey faster. He didn't smile all the way, but his face softened like paper over steam. And by the time I rounded the corner, Aunt Ruby from the kitchen, Pierce the butler, 2 housemaids with fists in aprons were already frozen in place. Nobody breathing too loud, because nobody wanted to scare the moment off. He stood fixed, his sweater like he could iron time, if he smoothed it hard enough, and said without looking at anyone, "Ms. Brooks, you may bring them when you need to." A bell rang in that wide room without moving, yeah. That happened. And if the story ended there, we'd clap, we'd slice cake, we'd walk home cheering for the billionaire who remembered. He had a heart, but grief and money don't clap for long. Her heels sounded before her perfume did. Sloane Whitaker swept in the next afternoon, a coat the color of rain, a smile that stopped at her cheekbones. "New staff," she sang when her eyes landed on me. "Lila Brooks, housekeeping." I answered, and she tipped her chin toward the laundry wing, where a travel crib waited, and children like the word might stain before I could speak. Cole was already on the stairs. "They're hers," he said. "She brings them sometimes, really." She blinked, "Slow, you allowing children in your mausoleum?" "What happened?" Cole did. The silence get too loud. "Investors are sniffing around again. They want stability, optics, a neat picture. I can give it to you." She leaned close, and I could hear the strategy in her breath, but he didn't take the bait. "You're not here to talk decor." "Sloane, why are you here that night?" I sat pushing greens around a plate, while Ruby worked a soft hymn under her breath. "He remembered something today, child, or decided to stop forgetting," she said. "And that woman, she smells both weakness and money. Don't hand her the first one, she already took the second, you know what I mean." Days braided into a rhythm. My boys chased butterflies in the south garden, while Cole knelt until his slacks wore grass stains and Noah scolded him for being too slow in the music room. His fingers found keys he'd avoided for a decade. The tune came out low and aching, then brighter, when Judah mashed the high notes and laughed like bells. Sloane watched from thresholds, from the terrace, from upstairs windows. "This isn't you," she'd murmur. "Children are chaos. Chaos breaks discipline. And discipline is the only reason this house still stands." Careful. "Cole, compassion makes you sloppy." And every time she said it, she wasn't looking at my boys like children. She was looking at them like leverage. Then the investor breakfast arrived. Suits, smiles that tell you they learned to win in a room without windows. And right when Cole reached for a chart, the double doors popped like theater curtains. Here came Noah, with a wooden spoon, Judah with his threadbare fox, both heading straight for the tallest man in the room. I froze, then watched him scoop one up, steady the other, and say, "They're part of the house and part of me." The silver-haired gentleman from Atlanta leaned back and said, "Well, I'll be the man. Bleeds after all." A few people laughed, a few didn't. Sloane looked like a storm, measuring which wall to knock down by sunset. The west drawing room window was spidered with cracks, and a stone sat on the rug, with a butcher twine note that read, "Weak men fall, weak men burn." I'd like to tell you my hands didn't shake, but they did. Fear isn't a tool, it's a prison. So Cole called the board to the house and told them what people like him aren't supposed to say: "I am not a machine. Discipline without purpose is just an empty room. You call this weakness, I call it life. You call it distraction, I call it loyalty. If you can't see the difference, maybe you don't belong at my table." The Atlanta man nodded. Stability of character still counts. "Where I'm from," he said. Sloane smiled winter, and the air dropped 5 degrees. Later, she cornered me in the East Hall. Clever girl broke the only rule that mattered. "Lonely men are easy to steer if you put a stroller in front of them." I kept my voice level. "I'm here to work and raise my children." She tilted her head. "Don't mistake indulgence for a new life. Men like him return to marble, and silence women like you become footnotes." The twist came quiet. Suspicion slipped in through a crack I didn't want to see. Papers went missing from Cole's desk. His voice hit the wood of the study when he asked who had access. He believed me right off, which still feels like a small miracle. But my eyes landed on Pierce because I'd seen him move after midnight with a folder under his arm, the kind of quick that looks like guilt even when it isn't. Cole confronted him, and Pierce said he took the papers to keep them out of Sloane's hands, hid them in Aunt Ruby's flower bin like a safe. She came in with the canister, popped the lid, pulled the file out, neat and dry. "I would never let a Whitaker touch what keeps this roof up," she said. And I realized the house wasn't just him and his ghosts. It was all of us learning to stand in the same wind. Cole gathered the staff. "Loyalty isn't embroidery here. It's load-bearing. If you can't carry it, take your pay and step into the weather." No one moved. The youngest maid lifted her chin like a flag. Pierce said, "Steady as a prayer, this house won't fall while we're breathing." Noah squeezed my fingers. Judah pressed into my leg. I believed them. Sloane doubled down headlines without names, but full of fingerprints. A charity event that smelled like a trap. She raised her glass and asked if we wanted to know. Why the halls sounded like daycare. Cole walked the length of that room, took the tray from my hands, and said it out loud. "You're not serving tonight. You're my guest." Then told the truth to people who get itchy around it. "Those boys are Lila's, not mine." They brought breath back into a place I left empty because I thought emptiness was safer. If compassion is scandal, let the world choke on it. I won't padlock laughter to protect a brand. A few clapped, a few left. Early Sloane's smile said, "Conviction doesn't erase weakness, and weakness has a price." Later in the kitchen, when Noah spilled milk and flinched, Cole handed him a napkin and said, "Clean it up, son." The room paused on that word. "Son," Sloane's fork hit porcelain. "That what you call them now, your replacements. and he looked right at her. They're not replacements. They're children, and they're welcome here. That was the win, not the bored nods or the press release, that sentence. Welcome here. Spoken without shaking, still costs, come due. We locked doors twice, learned which lamps make rooms look lived in from the road, checked the fence line when thunder rolled up from the river and kept going. Because breathing is not a scandal, it's proof he plays on Sundays, now. Always touches the same 4 notes first, like he's checking a pulse. My boys call the nursery the fast room, because that's where Horsey goes faster. We eat in the kitchen most nights in the dining room. When the table wants company, Sloane hasn't forgotten how to be. Sloane power doesn't forgive, but the door to the nursery stays open, and the hall doesn't apologize for laughing. And when storms threaten, we stand at the window and let the sky say its piece without letting it make our choices. I don't promise you a fairy tale. I promise you a decision. A man who stopped buying peace with silence. A woman who stopped shrinking to fit a rule that never made sense. 2 little boys who taught a house to breathe again. Maybe that's strength. Maybe some of you will call it foolishness. That's fine, we're living it. So tell me, if you were Cole, guard the marble and keep the quiet, or break your own rule and let life back in even if it costs you. Drop your answer in the comments. Tell me where you stand on power and compassion, on optics and truth. And if you've ever watched someone unlock a door inside themselves they swore was sealed, share that story too. I'm listening.